There's a interesting relationship between power, like capital, I don't know, whatever word you want to use for power, and inspiration, and how are they connected? Why have power if not inspired? If you acquire power without inspiration, you inspire others. But if you acquire power through inspiration, you also inspire others. It's like what? So you gain power from inspiration, and you gain power without inspiration. It's like what kind of system is this? That can turn into spiral really fast. It's unironic and ironic. The system that both ironic and unironic people fall into, you have a crazy prevalent system, and that is
And
power.
I think in today's world, it's kind of important to have that like overlap between ironic and unironic.
That spiral behavior of something like, because it can be both. It can be a spiral dynamic going like towards the center or outwards of it.
Uh-huh.
So you could say, yeah, you could say that like one with all the power inspires like a spiral out from it. Or you could say, I mean, or it could spiral inwards toward what? I mean, it's just there's so many different ways, and it can just go
And
at
that seems to
will.
be the evolution involution dichotomy again.
Yeah,
What is
exactly.
that attractor that pulls one towards greater complexity?
It's like, oh, I did that really cool thing on accident. Let me try to do that again. Let me get it down to a science. Wow, I just birthed science. Crazy.
Would you say that it would be a bad idea, like say you were doing this as like coaching or seminars or something, like to give it a name, to give it like a brand or to...
I call it the abstract. Well, I call everything
Okay.
that relates. I add a capital letter on. I associate that with it's an abstract thing. And like I said, you can be an ideal cool guy. Any duality could be just slapped onto an archetype and it just be a disingenuous, like, I mean, God, we don't even know how to
So
classify
it
it. But
becomes ingenuous as you start labeling it, or
right, but
yeah,
then it becomes like it's already fine because context clues. But that's not what marketing's for, right? That's not
because
that propaganda. You take things
you're
out of
really
context.
trying not to be abstract, but you're dealing with abstraction, but you're
Yeah,
trying to simplify, and
everything becomes analogy,
you
theory
seem
side
prone
of
to inductive reasoning, right? Like
yeah.
everything kind of implies these mechanics that trickle kind of
Right.
upward to greater and
Yeah.
greater governing mechanics. And
And
then this
because
gets into what I would refer to as the spiritual, right? States of consciousness. Um,
yeah, and that's what states are
but you kind
interesting.
of I think you kind of avoid that sort of language for it, right? Because it makes you a seeker when you think of it like that.
You know what I mean? You're already an actor. Yeah, you're already like right now I'm playing the part of my normal Evan self while talking to this guy that don't normally talk to, that I like to talk to or whatever, that I hold good opinion of, while knowing it's on camera or whatever. That's pretty much the archetype that I'm working under. Right now, my duality is based on whatever conversation we're on, and then in my other mind, I know that it's so funny that if I changed my archetype a little bit, this would have a completely different meaning. And right now, like even this is my first time ever articulating that sentiment of just being able to tweak the archetype scale or slider, like while I'm mid conversation. But that's absolutely what I do. I mean, that's just what I see.
It does seem like it's always like I like the abstract. It's like inductive and it's always pulling towards some sort of archetypal form, as opposed to focusing on like you don't want to nail one down and stay with it and then do forms from there, right? You want to constantly keep going upward.
Once you find a train of thought, it's easier to just like you're already in the abstract. You're already in there. It's like you don't need a physical 3D reference again to jump you into the abstract. Once you're in the abstract, it's like, what have we been talking about, right? Like, it's like, thank God for recording, right? But it's like, well, what 3D references have we made? What was the last thing I mean, realistically, we're just been following a train of thought. And so sometimes if you don't have a good grasp of either where you're at in the conversation or, what other 3D references that you need to bring up again, it's like you're kind of on your own.
Now, the abstract is opposed kind of to the physical, like
Yeah,
physical
that's
is
what I would call it.
deductive, abstract is inductive, and this is where I think the states come in. Is the more you attune yourself to abstract, the more you kind of get into subtle or
Yeah,
psyche awareness,
I agree
things
completely.
that are
I agree completely.
intuitive and not necessarily grounded in ego or in thought forms that are habitual,
Hmm.
but to stand kind of apart from that as a total psyche and experience, this kind of humor almost, to recognizing, oh my God, I'm just playing a character. This is just a movie, but I
Yeah.
have the freedom to switch to any character, any scenario, any mentality.
And what do you call that right there? That realization is that realization is not necessarily a state, or is that a state?
I think that the capacity to have that realization is a state, and
Because
within that state, it's sort of horizontal. It's like a choice making procedure there within that.
what you just described there was a great jumping off point. So the person that realizes that it's like, oh, I'm just a character, whatever, I could be whatever. So it's one thing to, of course, say that, right? Because anyone could just say that. And there's one thing to intuit that. It's like that's what you
Yes.
said if no one else was going to say it. Like you just took the words out of my mouth type situation, right? Like that was your best way of describing the scenario in front of you. The trick is only saying what you're seeing, what you're witnessing. It's like, oh, I would not have said it any better myself. It's like, then what are you saying? Truthfully, if not that, you are a person in what, in what, in what, in what, in what. Answer all your whys. Answer all your whys. You know, it's like, tell me how you're not just a character that you're playing. Like, tell me, I mean, tell me what's out of your control. I get it. So that's your archetype. You're in that venue. You're in that venue. Now, from that venue, what choices do you have? Like, are you not a person from here? Are you not an actor from here? Like, I get the role that you've been given, but how expressive are you as an actor? What different things, whatever. Can this actor also have a Christ character, which is their own actor? Like, if you are a person, I'm just gonna call it a kid. I don't care. I have no control. I'm a child. I live at home with my parents and stuff like that. When you go to your room, when your parents say go to your room, I don't care. Play with your toys, do whatever. Are you not your own person? What else would you rather be doing? Be honest with me. Like I mean, be your character. Make your Christ character. Say when I'm in my room, when I'm playing this game, when I'm whatever. Then be whatever. No one's gonna stop you. It doesn't matter to me. And then fantasize in your world and rationalize it. Make it make sense. Whatever. If you make it good enough, if you create a story and it is good enough, the whole world will just adopt that as their story. It's like, yeah, we just agree. It's like you thought about that more than we thought about that. That was good.
I think this is kind of a danger of what's happening right now, is that some of us can kind of sniff out genuinity in these things, like genuine, I am actually being psyche and actually switching. And then there's a large movement of people who are sort of adopting turns of phrases or expressions from people who do that, and this sort of mimicry and parroting is sort of replacing the genuine capacity to perceive archetypes. Or, as you point out, you can make an AI do it. You can have an
Yeah,
AI teach enlightenment in archetypes.
absolutely. And they do a fabulous job. They're just talking to an
They're good at it,
they do a great job. Like they just know what
but
they're
they're not
talking. They're
seeing this way. They're not experiencing infinity. They're just
probably.
puppeting. They're just repeating
Yeah, I'd
words
say
that
that.
people
I
say.
agree. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very frightening. And I
Yeah,
mean, you can't always tell the difference, in
yeah.
every
I
case.
think that's just the well. That's just they found a good well. They
And
found the
it's
well.
exciting, when I see someone who's got their own, as you call it, a head canon. That's like
Yeah.
kind of proof positive that you're not imitating something, right?
Yeah, yeah, I promise that. Yeah, yeah, I agree very much.
Yeah,
Yeah, and when it comes to stuff like this, okay, because headcanon becomes bullshit, right? Because I put headcanon in ego. You know what I mean?
for sure. Yeah.
My headcanon is my ego. What a nicer word to call it, right?